afternoon, fans. I'm your host, Zander, and today we are speaking with a head trainer for the Ottawa Senators, Nicoletta. Let's go. Hi, how are you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, the first question is, what was it like growing up in Sault Ste. Marie? Like, what sports did you play growing up?
The Sioux was great. Great place to grow up. Small town. I think there was only about 80,000 people.
Really? 8,000?
80,000.
Oh, 80,000. Okay.
80,000. So it wasn't too small, but pretty good. I had a blast in the Sioux. They had that smaller town feel, and you pretty much knew everybody. I was in the West End, and you pretty much knew everybody in the West End of the city if you were from there. And we had an East End and a West End. Yeah, the West didn't like the East very much, and the rivalries spilled out into the football fields and soccer fields.
Really?
Yeah, but my major sport growing up was soccer.
Soccer?
I played since I was about 6 years old. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, so the next question is, did you want to be a professional athlete, or did you want to be in sports medicine, like when you were?
Oh, good question. So originally, funny is you ask, but originally I wanted to be in art.
Oh,
I wanted
really?
to be
Art?
Yeah, I was really into drawing and not so much painting. I really love the charcoal drawing and just even pencil drawings. So I was really into that, and so that's how I started high school. I was really gearing my education towards that. I thought maybe even drafting or architecture or something like that. And then, but of grade 11, it was just a complete reversal. I really enjoyed, I was loving playing soccer and loving being part of that team, and I kind of started thinking maybe I should go into something like with the human body or, some health related field. I wasn't sure exactly though. I wasn't sure if it was a doctor or where I was going to go with it, but I made the switch and I started taking my sciences, and I started taking the biologies and the chemistries and things like that. And that's how I ended up going into Ottawa University for human kinetics.
Nice. Yeah. And speaking of drawing, what did you like drawing? Like the human body, or characters, or like?
Yeah, just about anything really. I liked even nature things. I was drawing even abstract stuff. Like I was doing weird pictures with hands and things like that, making them kind of. I really liked. At that time, I liked the artwork of like Salvatore Dali and things like that. So he was really weird and had like clocks dripping off of cliffs and things like that. So he was really abstract, but I liked, I was doing human forms. I was doing, animals, cars, really like drawing cars, things like that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I like going everywhere with my drawings also. So
yeah, you into art as well?
Yeah, I love art.
Cool.
So, what is the path someone takes if they want to work with a pro sports team?
Path?
Yeah, like where do they go for school and all that stuff? Like,
okay, well, the path I took was, first of all, you do need a university degree. So if you want to become an athletic therapist, that's what I am, a Canadian athletic therapist. If you want to go that route, then taking some type of either kinesiology or human kinetics or biomechanics, that type of thing, as your undergrad in university. And then there's two schools in Ontario that specialize in athletic therapy, York University and Sheridan College in Toronto. Both. So you have to go to one of those two schools if you're in Ontario to gain enough experience. You need clinical hours and you need field hours to be able to write the national exam. So they prepare you in 3 more years to basically write the national exam. So you learn all about the human body, you learn about how injuries affect different parts of the body. You learn all about like tissue healing, what happens when you tear a ligament or you tear a tendon or you get a concussion or things like that. So they give you all of those skills, plus you get to practice them. So they give you responsibilities of looking after a different team and clinic hours at the school. So when I was at York University, that's where I went. I had soccer my first year, volleyball my second year, and then I had hockey my last year, and that's where the hockey bug started for me.
And did you ever think that you would work close to 1,500,000 games? 1,500 games.
No, not a chance. No, it's been a wild run for sure. I didn't even know I was going to be in hockey.
Really?
When I was in York University, all I wanted to do was work with the football team. I was so trying to get it, and I never got that placement. I was so upset, and but I'm glad I didn't, because I got into hockey and I really enjoyed that atmosphere. But then I did find my way into to football. My first real job as an athletic therapist was as an assistant with the Argonauts.
Yeah.
I know your uncle played for them.
Yeah, that's where you met my uncle.
Yeah. I don't think I ever met you, but Jerry Townend, like our sports medicine director with the Sens, he worked with him real close for sure. He's got some good stories about your uncle. We won't share those now, though.
So you have seen just about almost every injury. What is the most common hockey injury? Most
common? There's probably a few different categories. Probably for the last little while, a lot of the injuries we deal with have to do with puck injuries.
Puck injuries, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Guys are getting faster and pucks are getting shot a lot harder. And so we're seeing a lot of hand and feet injuries, contusions, breaks, things like that. We're also seeing a lot more lacerations as well. But we'll see a wide variety of injuries. We got, you'll see your knee injuries, especially medial collateral ligament injuries. You'll see AC joint sprains, where guys from hitting and they'll tear the ligament that holds their collarbone to their shoulder blade. You'll see a lot of those. What else? Your basic. We deal a lot with on a daily basis pelvis stuff. So your adductor injuries, guys call them groin injuries or things like that. But we try to keep those as big as much as possible. That's our hardest job throughout the whole year, is really maintaining really good muscle balance and make sure the guys take care of themselves every day so they don't get those hip flexor and adductor injuries, because they use those a lot, obviously, from skating and things like that. Yeah. So we deal with that a lot.
And I remember once I went down, I saw a guy injured, and someone was wrapping up his leg, and I asked, how did you get that injury? He said, I got hit by a puck. And if he's getting wrapped up and all that stuff, it must hurt. And when they're actually on the ice, that means that it actually really, really hurt, right?
Oh yeah, they're really painful, especially the shots to the skate, Zander. The skates are lighter than ever, and stiff, but there's very little material between the skate and your foot. So what's become popular over the last few years, and actually really encouraged by the NHL and by our NHL clubs, is to wear some sort of protection over the foot, especially if you're a penalty killer or a defenseman, where you're going to see a lot of those pucks, or you're going to try to get in the way a lot of block shots and things like that. So there's been a lot of, at first you probably saw them, they're like these plastic covers over top, and now they've evolved to, they're almost like a sticker, but they're like a rubberized, it's not exactly rubber, I don't want to mislead you, but it's a material that disperses the force. So they'll put it right on the side, they'll cut it out in the shape of the skate on the side, and they'll put it on the sidewall of the skate and on the other side of the skate. So it increases how much that skate can deflect. And so, because those hurt a lot, and we've been seeing a lot of foot injuries because of that. And guys lose time. It's really hard to skate with a broken bone in your foot, for sure.
And why do you guys always call, and I'm going to try to pronounce this right, an an undisclosed. What do you always? What do you always
Undisclosed
call it?
injury.
Yeah.
Yeah. It during the year we usually so regular season we usually tell. We usually do disclose the injury after a certain amount of time. So we don't usually disclose the injury the day of the injury. We usually take a few days to make sure we have the evaluation
Oh.
proper. We make sure the doctors get a chance to really look at them and decide exactly what the injury is and what's the extent of the injury. And it gives the player some time to process, if it's a significant injury that they're going to miss some time, then it gives them a little bit of chance to deal with that before we have to tell the media. But then in the regular season, we usually do tell the media what's going on and let them know. I think that's an agreement they've made through the NHL. In the playoffs, it all changes. We don't say anything. So we'll just say upper body, lower body, and sometimes we don't even tell you upper or lower because it can get pretty nasty in the playoffs, and we don't want to give other teams any kind of insight into where that guy might be laboring a little bit or sore.
And is there a lot of pressure on you to get guys back on the ice as soon as possible? And
yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can go. You can go. It was just
no, for sure. Well, there's always a little bit of pressure for sure, but I mean, at the end of the day, our first and foremost, our priority is the safety of that athlete, right? So, as you know, and your dad was a professional ball player too.
Yeah.
Athletes, all they want to do is return to the sport that they love, and they hate missing time. They don't want to be in our room, that's for sure. So they're very highly motivated to get better. So a lot of times the pressure is coming from the athlete to let's go a little faster. Let's try to do a little more. Let's get better,
Yeah.
And so there's a fine line of pushing them and holding them back a little bit so that we can heal that injury properly and so that they don't re-injure when they go back. And, you do get some pressure from management sometimes and some coaches sometimes. They want their best players on the ice and they try to encourage you to if there's anything you can do to speed the process up, they would be really appreciative of that.
Yeah.
I'll put it kindly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And do you have like the final say if he's ready to go on the ice again or is it the player?
Well, the player definitely has the final say, and the doc has to agree as well. So, especially when an athlete has missed some time, the doctor has to sign off, and the player has to agree that he's fit to play. So it's really between that player and the doctor that they come to the decision together and agree that it's time to get back and playing, and it's safe to do so for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then how can you tell if a player is saying like, yeah, he's fine, he could go back on? Like, how do you say, oh no, he can't go back on? It's kind of like the last question, but.
Yeah. Oh, so you mean, so you're saying like, so if he gets hurt during the game?
Yeah.
To see if he can get back out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do it. We'll take him in the back usually if it's that significant, if it's enough that I see that he's laboring a little bit and he's limping or he's showing that he's not skating the way he should, right? So we'll have a conversation on the bench first, and then if we think it's let's go take a look, and we'll go in the back room. We'll take him off the bench and we'll have a consult with myself and the docs and the other AT that are there, and we'll see exactly what's going on. And a lot of times the injuries aren't significant, and they just needed a little bit of time to get over whatever that issue was, and they can get back out there. But sometimes it is, and we will come to that conclusion when we evaluate them appropriately. So, like, say if it was a knee injury, we want to test those ligaments, and we want to make sure that they have strength and that they don't feel unstable. And then if they pass all those tests and the doc's okay with it, and we'll let them go back, no problem. Yeah.
So it's like kind of like a group decision.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to make sure that they're safe. That's the first and foremost. You don't want them to go back out there and and injure themselves worse.
Yeah.
A lot of times what happens is if they have a smaller injury or an injury that, especially if it makes them unstable someplace, they'll end up injuring something else worse than they actually injured the other part. So we want to try to avoid that at all cost. Yeah. So there's a fine line. Veterans are easier to read. Guys that have been playing for a while, they know their bodies really well and they know what they can play and they can't play with. The younger guys, we have to take a little more time with it and be a little more cautious with, because we have to don't trust them as much at the beginning.
Yeah, and the older players know if they can or can't, like more.
For sure, and they know what's at stake as well, right? They know they there's more games to play, and sometimes the best course of action is to take the rest of that game off and be ready to go for the next one.
Yeah, and besides you, who is a part of the medical team on game day? Have you ever had to stitch somebody up during a game, like in the middle of the game?
We definitely do that all the time. I don't do the stitching. We have a full medical team on a game day, Zander. We have, we have an orthopedic surgeon always. We have a sports medicine doctor. We have a general practitioner. We have a dentist. And then there's all the therapists as well. So then we have myself, my assistant, and our sports medicine director. They're all athletic therapists. And then we also have one emerge doctor that is there at every game, just in case something really serious occurs. Then they get involved, and we also have paramedics at every game. But as far as stitching, that's Dr. Chow's domain. He's unbelievable at it, and we stitch guys up during a game all the time. Yeah, we'll try to control the bleeding if we can, so they can get through the period. But if it's a pretty big cut, then we'll have to do it during the period, and they'll go right in the back. Our doctor's room is right off the bench. It's real quick, right around the corner. They go back. We have a dentist chair there, and they sit right down there, and Dr. Chow gets to work. Yeah.
So do you guys also have backups, like backup therapists and like backup?
So you mean like therapists that we work with outside of?
Well, like I know that you guys have multiple, but say, like let's just say one day none of them can make it.
Oh, I see what
you have multiple like backups?
For sure. We not necessarily. We don't have. It's very rare that one of us will miss.
Yeah.
So but there is occasions that one of us has had to miss practice or a game before, but that's very rare. But we do have a little network of therapists in the city that we can rely on if we do need a little bit of extra help, that we can call upon and use them for sure.
And can you walk us through your game day routine? So like right when you wake up to the end of the game.
Okay, my routine?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, usually if I'm home, I wake up, and then I take a shower, and I go downstairs and I make Luca's and Ella's lunch for the school day. But my work day usually starts at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'll bring our guys that are injured in first. So we'll bring our guys that are not going to be playing that day, and we'll bring them in and start their rehab and make sure their routines are going before the rest of the team comes in. So then usually the rest of the team has to be in there for about 9 o'clock. And we provide breakfast for them, and they so they'll have breakfast, and then we'll provide rehab for those guys as well. So we'll deal with any nagging injuries they have, or any muscle soreness or tightness or imbalances they feel they have going for that game, and we'll help them manage those. Then they usually have a warm up in the gym at about 9:30 or so. 9:45, they have team meetings after that, and then usually the game day skates 10:30 in the morning, but it's very short. So those guys will skate from 10 to 10:50, and then they come off the ice, and we'll treat again and take care of their bodies any way they think they need it or they need it. And then it's lunchtime. So then they got lunch in the back, and about noon they all eat lunch, and then they're all gone about probably about 1:00, and then go for their game day nap. And that's when we clean up a little bit, and then we get to go home for a few hours as well. And then we come back at about 4:00. First guy's in about 3 hours before the game. And they come in and they start the routine. They have a cup of coffee, and they have their snack before the game and things like that. And then our little routine starts again. And we start to help them manage their game routine, right? So that, some guys like to get their certain muscles worked on and make sure that their hips are rotating and moving properly and things like that before the game. And then they also have team meetings, and they also have a pregame warm-up. The guys like to play two-touch and get in the gym and make sure that they're activated and brought up to the speed of the game. And then it's game time. So then the game time is 7:30 on a weekday, 7:00 on the weekend, and then I'm on the bench and watch the game during the game and make sure and provide first response. So anything that happens on the ice, I'll jump on and make sure that they're okay. And then if need be, I have to activate our emergency action plan, and then the docs will come and the paramedics will come and things like that. And then once the game is over, then our little rehab routine starts again, and we'll help the guys recover. And the guys will use the pools, and we'll we'll get massages, and we'll set them up on the recovery boots and take care of any injuries or bruises and stuff from that's happened during that game. And we'll take care of those and make sure that they're bandaged and supported and going home with a plan to get ready for the next game.
Nice. And the Senators made it to the conference final in 2017. Do you get caught up on all the excitement, or are you really focused during that? Aren't you how is it?
Oh, both. 100%. Oh yeah, 100%. We're really focused.
But so excited at the same time.
It was an incredible run. But I'll tell you, in the playoffs, and especially as we got to the third round there, myself and Johnny Forget, the equipment manager, we were hugging quite a few times every time the goals were scored. So that usually doesn't happen. That usually doesn't happen during the regular season. We're pretty stoic. I don't usually show too much emotion during the regular season, but the playoffs, I'll definitely you'll hear a yip out of me and maybe a raised fist and a couple hugs along the way for sure. But there's a different focus as well. You're really intended. Once you pass those first couple of rounds, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel there, Zander. You want that cup as much as the boys do, and we've been doing this for quite a long time. And the Stanley Cup would be something surreal. So you're definitely excited, but definitely have a focus on the end game for sure.
Yeah, and it's so excited for the people watching on TV.
Oh, for sure. Really excited.
What has been your most memorable experience as an Ottawa Senator?
Oh, cool. Well, I've had a few, and they've all playoff related for sure. My first 2 years, 2003, we had an unbelievable team. We won the President's Trophy that year, and we lost in 7 games in the conference final to New Jersey that year. We ended up winning the cup. That was tough, but that was a great run. It was my first year in the NHL, so I'll never forget that. I thought for sure we were going to win it my first year. It would have been a spectacular thing. Then the next one would have probably been 2007 run. I wasn't actually with the team at that time. I was with the Binghamton Senators at that time. I was the head athletic therapist there. And but I was up for the playoffs, so they brought us up, and I was in charge of the Black Aces. But I was at every home game that we had, and that Game 3 in the Stanley Cup Final I'd never heard the building like that before. It was an incredible experience. When we scored that first goal, I honestly thought the place was coming down. It was the loudest I'd ever heard it before. It was just incredible. I never heard it like that. And then that 2017 run was pretty magical. That was Craig Anderson was unbelievable. He was playing so well. Erik Karlsson was out of this world on one foot. like just an incredible performance, and the whole team had come together. We were playing so good, and yeah, just a one goal short of the final. That would have been tough.
There has been so many players so many Senator players that have come and go since you've been here, since you've been on the Senators. Are there some players that you have like a special bond with?
Oh, for sure. This latest group, it was tough to see some of those players go. Eric Carlson and Mark Stone and Pajot, Cody Ceci. We were all close. We all came together. We drafted them, and they were part of our team for quite a long time. Like myself and Eric started back in 2009 with the NHL club together. So he was just a young kid, 18 years old, and 17, I think, at the time. No, he was 18, and so yeah, we spent a lot of years with them, and it was very, we were really close. But I was also really close with some of the players that were that I was with initially in 2003. Like, so I was with Chris Neal and Chris Phillips for quite a long time. Daniel Alfredson. We were together for quite a number of games, and so those are older players. They're closer to my age, so you're a little more relatable, and so those guys stay out, and they still come around all the time. We always see Chris Phillips and Chris Neal. They're always coming in and say hello, and we catch up. And Luca and Luca and his son play against each other a few times, so that's kind of fun to see. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you were chosen to be the athletic therapist for the Team Canada in the World Cup. Like, how was your experience? Like, what was it?
Unreal. So it was one of the best experiences of my life, for sure. It was my first time ever representing my country and being part of that. And to be honest, I didn't know how I was going to feel when I got there. And I was even our first exhibition game. We played Austria in Vienna. I was so nervous, and I'd never been nervous for a game for quite a long time.
Honestly, I would be so nervous.
But it was like, you're almost, there was almost another level of expectation. I felt that because that, you're wearing the maple leaf, right? So that was an unreal experience. I loved that tournament, and we had a really good team, and we faced adversity early, and the guys really came together and had some incredible finishes in the round robin for us just to make that semifinal. Like it was a great experience. It was awesome to be able to bring my family. So Luca and Ella and Jenny all came, and they had a blast and got to see like 6 games. And so it was truly a great experience. We got to experience a different culture. I was in Vienna and Austria for a week, and then we were in Slovakia for 3 weeks in Kosice, and it was great. Unreal. Like the fans there, Zander, are so different. Like they're so enthusiastic. They're so part of it. They chant and sing and dance the whole time. And the Finns are like insane. Like insane. They must. I've never seen so many Finnish fans at an outside tournament. They were partying the entire time, having a really good time in a good way. Like really enjoying their team and really enjoying the atmosphere of the World Championship. So that was a phenomenal experience. Phenomenal.
Yeah. What was it like being part of the team that had so many superstars on it? Like it had so many good players.
You're talking about the Team Canada?
Team Canada, yeah.
Yeah, cool. A little intimidating too, even some of the coaches. Like and the GMs. Like, so I'm from the Sioux. Remember we started this whole thing off in the Sioux. Our assistant GM was Ron Francis. Ron Francis is an icon in Sault Ste. Marie, like number 4 all time in points in the NHL. And I was completely starstruck and so like to be able to converse with him and catch up and know that some of his stories from the Sioux is similar to mine, because he was a West End boy too, and an Italian family, and so that was really cool. And we had some great players.
Yeah.
Obviously, and some players I hadn't seen in a bit. So Kyle Turris was our captain, which was amazing, and he hadn't been on our team for a few years, and we're still close. So that's another player we still stay in touch, and Mark Stone was on the team, but it was cool to meet like Matt Murray, who's now with us. So he was our goaltender at that time, and so it was great. It's pretty awesome to see that kind of talent all on one team. Even the coaching staff for crying out loud was unreal. We had Vigneault, and we had Kurt Muller, another superstar in his own right as a player and stuff. So that was fun. It was fun to be a part of.
You have accomplished so much in your career. Do you have any other goals that you want to achieve?
Good question. Bucket list? I would love to go to the Olympics. I would love, in some capacity. It doesn't even have to be hockey. I would love it at some point before the end of my AT career to go to the Olympics. I think that'd be really awesome. I would love at some point, and I don't know if I'll ever get there, is to be a part of a season of soccer. I would love to be in the MLS, just to, even as an assistant or whatever. I think before my time is done, I'd love to work a year and see the difference for sure. Yeah. Those are a couple bucket lists.
And we now have some rapid fire questions right here.
I'm ready.
I'll read them off here. So, are you ready?
Go for it.
I'll try not to block my face. So, what is the highlight of your career?
World Championships.
And then, what is your favorite road trip and why?
Ooh, I love the coasts. So I love Vancouver and I love LA, but I also love New York. So two different coasts.
What is the best arena that you played in not including Ottawa?
Well, best arena is the newest one, probably Edmonton.
And what player has kept you the busiest over your career?
Craig Anderson.
Craig Anderson. Who was the best athlete you have ever worked with besides my Uncle Wally? Besides him.
For sure. Best athlete all around was probably Daniel Alfredson.
Daniel Alfredson. You worked for the Toronto Argonauts. Who are tougher, football players, hockey players, or soccer players?
Ooh. I would say football players.
Football players. What was the toughest injury you had to deal with?
I think the toughest injuries to deal with are concussions.
Concussions, yeah. What was the strangest injury that you've ever saw?
Oh, strange. The strangest injury I ever saw was Mark Borieski, I should say, sorry, cut his shin playing two-touch warm-up soccer.
Really?
On a cover for an outlet. Weirdest thing I've ever seen. Missed time.
Really?
Yeah.
What player was the hardest to see leave?
Hardest to see leave was probably
I'm
gonna say Eric Carlson.
Eric Carlson. You are known as a great cook. What's your specialty?
Oh, Italian.
If you
I make
had
a mean chili too.
And I think I know where you're gonna go with this one. If you had a chance to work in an Olympic final, Super Bowl, or a Soccer World Cup, which would
World Cup, hands down.
Really? World Cup?
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%.
I thought it would be Olympics. Okay. Yep. And I just want to say thank you for joining my podcast.
Awesome, Zander. Thank you for having me, man.
You're so welcome. A lot of fun. And good luck for the season, and I'll see you later.
Thank you very much. Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
You too. See ya.